The 5K shootout. It is Friday morning, bright and early. Really nice weather this weekend. I think today is going to be a high of maybe 80, and tomorrow during competition a high of 70 or 71. That's going to be absolutely incredible for competition. It's going to make the concrete track nice and fast. We had practice from 4 to 7 p.m. last night, Thursday night. The car was feeling really good. I did not put cameras on the car. I just wanted to drive a little bit and just focus on driving, get some good chases, good leads. The car is feeling really good. And then we went and got an alignment last night because this car hasn't been on an alignment rack in 3 years. I thought I had everything pretty much zeroed in and what it needed to be, 1/4 inch toe in the rear and 1/4 inch toe out in the front. And I thought the caster was closer than it was, but the numbers don't lie when you're on an alignment rack. The rear end was not 1/4 inch toe in. It may have been, but it was like offset to one direction, so it snaps really hard one way. And then the caster was not the same in the front. It was 4 on one side and like 3.1 degrees on the other side. So we got everything matching, 4 degrees of caster in the front, an actual 1/4 inch even in the rear. So everything should be really good. We'll see how it drives coming up pretty soon. We got driver meeting in like 10 minutes. So we're gonna go up, do that, and then we're gonna get out, do some practice. I already got the car warming up. The trans and the diff is getting warmed up. We're all ready to go, shred some laps today. off that front wheel. Went wheel to wheel pretty hard. Well, I did not talk to you guys a whole lot today. Mainly just focused on driving, just filmed a little bit. Qualifying is coming up real soon here. We drew chips in like qualifying order and like how you're gonna go out there. I drew chip 31, so I'm gonna qualify really far down or do a qualifying run towards the end, which is okay. Then we can get kind of a lot of people kind of flushed through. They'll kind of set the bar or whatever you want to call it, and then there's more to compare to when you go out there for a lead run. So gonna do qualifying, finish out the day Friday, and then come in Saturday morning with a practice session, and then right into competition at 10:30 in the morning. So we're feeling really good. Chases are good, leads are really good. We're being real consistent, pushing really hard. Had a couple of little contact moments there with the front wheel on someone's back wheel. Other than that, everything's really good. Car's feeling great after the alignment. So just gotta keep pushing, be consistent, and we're gonna have a really good event. Qualifying went great. 91 points. Currently sitting P2 qualifier. We're gonna go up, sit in the shade, see how everyone else ends up on the bracket there, and yeah, really good finish to Friday, going into competition. Currently P2 for tomorrow. All right, we are out in line, ready for practice. We got 1 hour before competition starts. I'm like 6 cars back. We're trying to get a few chases in this hour. Make sure I'm consistent in the chase. Leads are pretty good. Qualified number 2. As long as we got a good chase, we're good. unfortunately got knocked out in the top 32. I was on a tear. I was right there on his door, pushing on it a little bit, and got a little greedy right at the end towards the finish line. And as he started pulling away, my front tire made contact with his rear tire, ripped the steering wheel out of my hand, and unfortunately I spun right on the finish line. So I don't know exactly how they deemed that, if they counted that as a 0 in the chase or not. I have no idea. I'll end up going up there and chatting with them later when there's a big break or something. I'll just go see what the judge's opinion was, but I'm pretty sure that's what caused me to lose that battle. But now I bought my way into the consolation battles that are kind of ran in between the main 5K comp. First place is your entry fee back, so we're gonna shoot for that and see if we can at least get money back on entry. So I just have to dial it back maybe 2%, just a little bit. Don't get greedy right at the finish line, and I should be all right. We'll see how this goes. Have a little bit of fun. This is basically just a fun battle, or you know, a fun bracket to do in between some of the 5K. So we'll go out, shred some laps, have a little bit of fun, and see what we can do.
96 out of Shakopee, Trey Moa. In third place, in the Kenda Tires pickup truck out of Becker, Minnesota, Alec Robbins. And your 5K champion of 2025, taking home $5,000, taking home that Grip Royal steering wheel, and most importantly, the championship belt. Out of Cheyenne, Wyoming.
And we are back from the 5K shootout with some damage to the vehicle. Not super crazy. This side is mainly just cosmetic. This whole side of the fender on the back side of the wheel is all caved in, basically all the way in. There's not much back there to begin with, but it's pushed in quite a bit. I don't think there's any damage to the control arms on this side at all. I kind of just squeezed in front of the front tire of the person that spun out in front of me. On the other side, however, I did end up having some upper control arm damage. Luckily, I have one spare upper control arm that I can throw on that side with a fresh ball joint. We'll get it all matched up for camber and everything and get that side reset for Drifting the Plains 3. That's coming up in just a couple weeks. Now, the damage that happened on that side where the control arm is bent, that happened, I believe, in the competition practice or Saturday practice right before competition anyways. I kind of came in on outer 2 into the keyhole and sandwiched next to the lead driver, and it kind of, just jammed up in there. So there's no bump stops or anything on the Destroy or Die angle kit, which allows your tires and wheels to turn a little bit farther than they probably should. So when you do that, you can risk contacting your wheel to your upper control arm, and that's what happened over there, and it just jammed it in, and unfortunately it bent that control arm. Now, I would have had plenty of time to switch that or replace it at the track had I known that it bent. Now, after that impact, I drove it off the track and it drove straight, everything drove fine, and I only had one other lap after that to really kind of test to see if anything was wrong, and nothing felt wrong. And in that lap, I also crunched this side, so it was kind of a, not super great, test to see if anything was wrong with the car because we only made it halfway through the lap. So going into competition with potentially a bent arm that I had no idea was even bent, and I pushed a little bit too hard in the chase, made contact with that front left tire to the lead driver's rear tire. Because I don't have power steering in this vehicle, it just shot the steering wheel out of my hand, and I looped it going basically through the finish line, which did end up zeroing my chase run. It's unfortunate, but I was trying to push really hard to just be right there on their door, and sometimes that stuff happens. It's unfortunate, got knocked out in top 32, but then I went into the consolidation battles or whatever it is, and still not knowing that I had a bent control arm, went into that throwing tons of angle into that keyhole and made contact with that upper control arm. It's basically like stopping that front tire, and when you're on full throttle, your back end just loops right around. It keeps pushing around that locked up front tire, and that spun me out. So that took me out of competition for the weekend. I still had a lot of fun. There was a lot of positives to take out of the weekend. That's probably the most aggressive driving I've had all season so far, getting the closest tandems that I've had. Really pushed myself outside of my comfort zone with trying to get closer in the chase position. So we'll take a quick look at the underside of the car and see if there's any damage on this side, and I'll show you that control arm over there. So just looking at this fender, how bad it crunched up. It's quite a bit. That's like 4 inches pushed in. Kinda sucks, but this one up here, that's pretty deep. I don't know if I'll be able to get that rolled completely out. I'll be able to unbolt this entire fender, take it off, and try and hammer that straight, or kind of get some curl back to it, give it some shape back. I'll see what I can do. You can get over fenders for these, or like a complete new fender. So maybe I'll look into that in the future, but for now, we'll just do what we can to make it through the rest of the season. Now pushing this wheel out of the way, it doesn't look like anything is bent on this control arm or the lower. So I kind of came out okay with that. But then the coilover is also straight in there. So no damage that way on angle kit. It's just the fender is crunched pretty bad. Now looking at the driver side from that impact in practice laps, this was once already kind of caved in, but I made contact with the rear wheel right here, and that kind of redented that and crunched this back in here. This one's pretty bad. It actually took material off of the, the door panel type thing, and then also took some material off on the top of the fender. Not the end of the world. Like I said, this damage was already there. I fixed it a little bit, and now I kind of just impacted that area. So the main damage, however, is on the upper control arm and this wheel. You can kind of see the blue from rubbing on the blue BMW that kind of slowed down in that zone. I don't know if you'll really be able to see in here right now, but that upper control arm's got quite the curl to it, and it should not be like that. So that's the one we're gonna replace. The lower control arm is fine. That's all straight. No issues with that. Coilover also seems to be straight. Now, when you look at the inside of the wheel, you can see all of it. This is shiny and very, very sharp. That's from hitting the upper control arm. Should not look like that. This is probably the last season for this wheel. There's a crack up here too, but I already knew about that. So a lot of material taken off this wheel, not gonna last probably much longer. It still holds air, so shouldn't have to worry about it leaking. But it's basically the whole way around. When you think about this thing spinning and then making contact with a control arm like that, and especially in these wavy sections, that's like, it's locking up the tire. It's like putting on the brakes, but only on this tire. And when that happens, you can't control spinning around that tire. So that's kind of what caused that. I might have to try and figure out some sort of a bump stop. And then I'm just moving this right now, and it looks like this is actually wiggling inside here, unless it's something on the inner. So I gotta do a good once over on the whole angle kit up here and make sure everything's good. Like I said, I got a couple weeks until Drifting the Plains 3, so I gotta make sure this car is all back in one piece and solid, and make sure that I'm gonna be able to drive it, as flawlessly as I can. I think I'm sitting 6th in points right now, so there is still a chance to get on the points podium. I just have to drive really hard, really clean, and make sure I can make it up to like top 8 or final 4 if possible. So like I already said, not an ideal finish for the 5K shootout, but it's all right. There's still a lot of positives to take away from the event. Now we're gonna be finishing up with the season pretty soon here, just a couple weeks, and then there's Driftoberfest as well, so we'll take the Miata to that as well. But we're gonna be shifting gears pretty soon over to the BMW in the corner. We gotta start tearing that apart, getting stuff stripped down. Amnesty Day is coming up real soon, so we gotta get as much interior bits and anything else that needs to be thrown away from that, taken out of that car, so we can dispose of that with no cost. You'll see that coming up. Not trying to hold out on content on that. It's just not really in the process quite yet, but it's coming very soon. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.